The morning heat shimmered over the cracked pavement of Henderson Auto Repair. Inside the small garage, the smell of oil, grease, and sweat filled the air. Ethan, a kind-faced mechanic in his late 30s, wiped his hands on an old rag before leaning over the hood of a dusty sedan. His blue jumpsuit bore years of stains, each one a silent testament to his hard work and honesty. He wasn't rich, not even close, but every customer who left his station did so with gratitude. For Ethan, fixing cars wasn't just a job, it was a way to help people keep their lives running. Just as he tightened the last bolt under a customer's truck, a weak, trembling voice came from behind him. "Excuse me, young man," said an elderly woman, her hands clutching a worn leather purse. Her car, an ancient beige sedan, sputtered into the lot, smoke curling from its hood. She looked exhausted, her eyes filled with worry. Ethan walked over, offering a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, ma'am, we'll get you back on the road in no time." The woman hesitated, looking embarrassed. I don't have much money," she said softly. "But I need to get to the hospital. My sister's not well, and it's an emergency. I was hoping someone could just look at it." Without a second thought, Ethan waved her off gently. "Don't worry about the money. Let's see what's wrong." He popped the hood, and after a few minutes of inspection, realized the fan belt was completely worn out, the oil nearly dry, and the battery loose. It wasn't a small fix, but Ethan got to work immediately. He grabbed tools from his cart and spent nearly 2 hours under that hood, his shirt soaked through with sweat. All the while, the old lady watched, occasionally whispering a quiet prayer for him. When he finally started the car again, the engine purred smoothly. Ethan smiled proudly, wiping his hands once more. "There you go, ma'am. Good as new." Tears welled up in her eyes. "You're an angel, young man. Please, let me give you something," she said, pulling out a few wrinkled bills from her purse. Ethan gently pushed her hand back. "Save it for your sister's medicine," he said kindly. "You don't owe me anything." At that very moment, the loud slam of an office door echoed across the garage. Mr. Henderson, the owner, a man in his 50s with slicked back hair and a temper as short as a fuse, stormed out. His sharp eyes fell on Ethan in the old car. "What's going on here?" he barked. When he realized Ethan had done the repair for free, his face turned red. "Are you out of your mind? This is a business, not a charity." Ethan tried to explain, but Henderson cut him off. "I don't care. You're fired. Get your tools and get out." The old lady gasped, trying to intervene, but Ethan stopped her. He simply nodded, his voice steady. "It's okay, ma'am. Some things are worth more than money." He walked away slowly, leaving behind the only job he'd ever loved, but keeping his dignity and his heart intact. Ethan spent the next few days wandering through town with a quiet heaviness in his chest. Losing his job wasn't just a financial blow, it cut deep into his pride. He'd given years of his life to Henderson Auto Repair, showing up early, staying late, and treating every customer with respect. Now he was left with nothing but his tools and a reputation for being too kind for business. He lived in a small, weathered house on the outskirts of town, where the roof leaked during rain and the paint had long since faded. Every morning, he'd sit on his porch with a cup of coffee, wondering how he'd get by. Bills stacked up on his kitchen table, and the hum of silence filled the rooms where laughter once echoed. But Ethan wasn't the kind of man to give up. One morning, he set up a small wooden sign outside his home. "Ethan's Repairs, honest work, fair price." It wasn't much, just a few planks nailed together, but it was a start. He dragged his old toolbox out back, cleared some space in his shed, and began offering repairs for neighbors who couldn't afford the steep prices at Henderson's shop. The first few days were slow. A few old friends stopped by out of pity, letting him change their oil or fix a tire. But then something unexpected happened. Word began to spread. The story of the mechanic who helped the old lady for free traveled quickly through town. People admired his kindness, and one by one, cars started pulling into his yard. Soon, Ethan's small backyard was filled with vehicles waiting for his attention. Kids from the neighborhood watched him work, fascinated by how he brought broken machines back to life. He always greeted them with a smile, teaching them bits about engines and patience. For the first time since losing his job, he felt useful again. Meanwhile, across town, Henderson Auto Repair was falling apart. Customers complained about overpriced services and rude treatment. Several of Ethan's former coworkers quit after realizing how poorly Henderson ran things. Within weeks, the once busy shop looked empty. Henderson couldn't understand why business was slipping away. Ungrateful people, he muttered daily, blaming everyone but himself. Then, one stormy afternoon, the sound of luxury engines broke the silence at Henderson's nearly deserted garage. 3 black cars rolled into the lot, their sleek bodies gleaming even under gray skies. The mechanics who remained froze, unsure who the visitors were. The door of the first car opened, and out stepped none other than Mrs. Turner, the same elderly woman Ethan had helped, though this time, she looked very different. She was dressed in an elegant suit, her hair neatly done, and she carried an air of quiet authority. 2 assistants followed behind her, each holding a folder. "I'd like to speak with the owner," she said firmly. Henderson appeared, forcing a smile when he recognized her. "Ah, yes, ma'am. How can I help you today?" Mrs. Turner's eyes narrowed slightly. "I'm here to find your mechanic, the one who fixed my car for free." Henderson's grin faltered. "Oh, him, he's gone. Fired him last week for giving away work." The air grew tense. Mrs. Turner folded her arms. "You fired the only good man in this place," she said coldly. "And you've just made the biggest mistake of your life." The next morning dawned quietly in the small neighborhood where Ethan lived. The air smelled of rain and damp earth, and the soft hum of crickets echoed in the distance. Ethan was in his shed, bent over the hood of a broken pickup truck, his hands blackened with oil. He didn't notice the sleek black car that pulled up outside his gate until he heard a soft knock. When he looked up, his eyes widened. Standing there was Mrs. Turner, but she was nothing like the frail woman he remembered. She looked regal, dressed in a pearl gray suit, her posture proud yet graceful. Behind her stood 2 men in suits, and one held a large envelope. "Mrs. Turner," Ethan said, surprised, "is everything all right with your car?" She smiled warmly. "My car is just fine, thanks to you. But I came here for something more important." Confused, Ethan wiped his hands on a rag and invited her inside his modest workspace. Mrs. Turner looked around the small garage, the tools neatly organized, the half-finished repairs, the smell of honest labor. She could see that despite his struggles, Ethan carried no bitterness, only quiet dignity. "I owe you an apology," she began. "I wasn't just an old woman with a broken car that day. I was testing something." Ethan frowned slightly. "Testing?" "Yes," she nodded. "I wanted to see how people treated someone who appeared poor and helpless. You were the only one who showed kindness without expecting anything in return." She paused, her voice softening. "Mr. Henderson failed that test miserably." Ethan shook his head gently. "You don't owe me anything, ma'am. I just did what felt right." Mrs. Turner smiled. "That's exactly why I'm here." She handed him the envelope. Inside was a check, not just for a small amount, but enough to change his life completely. Ethan stared at the number, unable to speak. "With this," she continued, "I want you to open your own garage. A place where people can come for help, not just business. A place built on honesty, like you." Tears welled up in Ethan's eyes as he whispered, "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll accept it," she said kindly. "Because the world needs more people like you." Weeks later, a new sign went up at the edge of town, "Ethan's Honest Garage, Repairs with Heart." The building gleamed with fresh paint, its doors open wide. Inside, Ethan worked side by side with young apprentices, teaching them not just about engines but about integrity. Poor families and struggling drivers came to him, and if they couldn't pay, Ethan would smile and say, "We'll figure it out later." His shop became a beacon of hope. Customers left not just with fixed cars, but with renewed faith in goodness. Newspapers even ran a story about the mechanic with a golden heart. As for Mr. Henderson, his shop closed within a month. His greed had driven everyone away, and the once proud sign now hung crooked and forgotten. Meanwhile, Ethan stood in front of his new garage one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky gold. Mrs. Turner's words echoed in his heart, "Kindness is never wasted." And in that moment, he knew she was right.